Hello and welcome to the channel of Hashalia once again. As always, I trust that God is blessing you. Today is the 15th of March 2025. Pretty heavy rains here behind me, and so therefore I'm trying to protect myself from the mosquitoes as much as possible because it's the wetness that brings them out. Okay, jumping on the bandwagon. Let me just give you a couple of descriptions of what jumping on the bandwagon means. It means to join a popular trend or activity, often to fit in or because it seems likely to be successful, rather than because of genuine interest. I wrote down siding with a popular trend, changing your mind to a more popular opinion to reap the rewards of popularity, win friends, be accepted, in with the in crowd, etc. I think it's actually quite surprising just how many people jump on bandwagons. They hear things and it gets repeated enough, a bit like Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, who basically said, if you're going to tell a lie, tell such a big lie that is so outrageous and keep repeating it, and eventually people believe it and they side with it, they come alongside it. Now, I want to bring this into scripture and then just talk about what's happening today and what has been happening for a long time. But I want to jump into Mark chapter 15, starting at verse 6. Now, this is during the trial of Jesus. Now, at the feast, he was accustomed to releasing one prisoner to them, whomever they requested. This is Pilate. And there was one named Barabbas who was chained with his fellow rebels. They had committed murder in the rebellion. Then the multitude, crying aloud, began to ask him to do just as he had always done for them. But Pilate answered them, saying, "Do you want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" For he knew that the chief priests had handed him over because of envy. There was jealousy. The chief priests knew very well that Jesus was real. They may not have believed he was the Son of God, but they knew there was something special about him. But they were very, very jealous. This is actually happening to a major world figure right now. I'm quite sure you could name him. People are very jealous and they're saying a lot of bad things about him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd so that he should rather release Barabbas to them. They would rather have a criminal, a murderer, released. But it was the elites that stirred up the crowd, stirring up the crowd. Bear that in mind, stirring up crowds. Pilate answered and said to them again, "What then do you want me to do with him, whom ye call King of the Jews?" So they cried out again, "Crucify him." Then Pilate said to them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they cried out all the more, "Crucify him." Pilate knew he was innocent. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd and they're pressuring Pilate to crucify Jesus. Verse 15. So Pilate, wanting to gratify the crowd, he wanted to appease the crowd, he wanted to come alongside them, he wanted to join them. He was going to change his opinion and have Jesus crucified. So Pilate, wanting to gratify the crowd, released Barabbas to them, and he delivered Jesus, after he had scourged him, to be crucified. Now I'm just going to jump over to Acts 17 for another example. Excuse me. Just needing to click through. So Acts 17, and I'm going to read verses 5 and 6. And this is Paul the Apostle this time having problems. But the Jews who were not persuaded, becoming envious. So this is Paul preaching, he's preaching at Thessalonica, and he is having success, and some people are listening to what he is saying. But the Jews who were not persuaded, becoming envious, took some of the evil men, or in some versions, some of the worthless men, from the marketplace, and gathering a mob, set all the city in an uproar, and attacked the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people. But when they did not find him, they dragged Jason and some brethren to the rulers of the city, crying out, "These who have turned the world upside down have come here too." What they're doing is a bad thing, and we need to have something done with them. But notice how they took some of the evil men from the marketplace, and gathering a mob, set all the city in an uproar. They weren't happy with what was being said, what was being done. So their solution to it was to start a riot, to get a mob together, and to gather more and more people. Come on, jump on the bandwagon. These people are bad. They're doing evil things. We've got to get rid of them. Jump on the bandwagon, and we can wipe out. It doesn't matter if it's true or whatever, what we are saying. Just jump on the bandwagon. We're the ones that's telling the truth. Pack of lies, of course. And the final bit of scripture, Acts 21, and I'm going to read from 27 to 30. Again, Paul the Apostle, this time he is in the temple, he's in Jerusalem, and he has basically done nothing wrong. In fact, I'll read from verse 26. Then Paul took them, the men, and the next day, having been purified with them, entered the temple to announce the expiration of the days of purification, at which time an offering should be made for each one of them. So he was doing everything by the book. Now, when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews from Asia, seeing him in the temple, stirred up the whole crowd and laid hands on him, crying out, "Men of Israel, men of UK, men of Europe, men of the United States of America, this is the man who teaches all men everywhere against the people, against the people, the law, and this place. And furthermore, he also brought Greeks into the temple and has defiled this holy place." For they had previously seen Trophimus the Ephesians with him in the city, whom they supposed that Paul had brought into the temple. And all the city was disturbed, and the people ran together, seized Paul, and dragged him out of the temple, and immediately the doors were shut, and they were seeking to kill him. Often, not always, but often, to change opinions and get people to jump on a bandwagon, lie after lie after lie is repeated. And it's made to sound palatable. It's made to sound for the good of you, the people. Look, we need to be doing this, or else we're going to lose all our way of life, our freedoms, this, that, and the next thing. You've got to jump on board with us because we are going to put things right. So we need you behind us. Get on board, jump on the bandwagon. In recent years, we've seen a lot of movements rise up. Antifa, BLM, to name just a couple. That was in the past, still ongoing. And still, even now, many movements, things being said in mainstream media and on social media, lie after lie after lie is repeated. I can remember one tragic story. I won't say exactly where I was, but it was maybe 3, 4 years ago. And I was waiting on a train to take me into a city, and I was with my wife, and the train was cancelled. All trains were cancelled. And a gentleman standing on the platform, he'd actually had his car parked at the station. And so he offered to give a lift into the city. So anyway, I took a lift and we were chatting, and the conversation went a little bit like this. I had no idea that it was possible for a child to be born in a different body, in the wrong body. But thankfully, I've been, told by the experts and understand this a lot better. And so now I'm getting my child the right treatment. Absolutely tragic. But how did he come to believe this? Because a movement started up that made people believe that it was possible children could be born in the wrong body, and all that had to happen was to have these operations, have some bits removed, have some bits added, and everything's okay. That's just one example. You see, adverts as well, advertisements, repeated again and again and again for things such as drugs, fast foods. They sound so palatable that people who haven't even really thought about it or might even have been against it, they suddenly jump on the bandwagon because it is popular to be eating this food or taking these drugs or whatever the case may be. They jump on a bandwagon because everybody else is jumping on it. And so they want to be part of that popular movement. See, I believe this. Everybody else believes it. I take these products because everybody else is using these products. I eat this food because everybody else eats it. We're all in it together. We're all in it together. Jump on the bandwagon. Keep listening to the lies and jump on the bandwagon. You're seeing riots all over the world, so never mind about BLM and Antifa, but this thing has risen up all over the world. And there's many movements now, and there's many voices. Things that might be saying like, okay, Trump is this, Trump is that, and Trump is the next thing. We hate him. Musk is evil. RFK Jr. is evil. JD Vance is evil. You've got to join us because we can prove that what they're doing is evil. And so the narrative goes out. But there's a lot more subtle things being said also. Maybe with regards to Trump, Putin, Xi Jinping, Modi of India, and many other world leaders, Zelensky. And people are getting confused about things. But what I believe God was speaking to me was, excuse me, don't jump on a bandwagon just because it sounds good. If you hear something or you're seeing something repeated time and again, really pray about it. Put it in the back burner. Pray about it because there's a lot of things happening in the world. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, a lot of truth, a lot of lies. And it's sometimes very difficult to get to the bottom of what is actually happening. Don't be too quick to jump on something, especially when a story first comes out. That's when you're at your most vulnerable. You hear a story and it sounds so plausible. You are prone to actually believing it right at that moment in time. But you'll find if you just decide to put that on the back burner for a week or two, more information comes out, more things come to light, Now, I seen this recently. A good example was the tragic deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife. And right at the beginning, I saw a post on social media and says, "I wonder if he was on the Epstein list." And when you read something like that, immediately you think, he's another one. Hollywood. Evil, evil people. This couple were evil. Now, I don't know the full truth about their deaths. I don't know anything about them other than I know that Hackman was a really good actor. I enjoyed a lot of his movies. But the point is, there's more things coming out since he died, since they died. And it's not as clear cut as to what exactly happened. So, what I'm trying to say is, let's just be circumspect. Let's just take our time before we swallow something, before we jump on a bandwagon because it might seem popular. There's a lot of names being bandied that are supposedly on this list. There's a lot of names being bandied in Hollywood, the media, politics, business that are supposedly evil. And I've fallen for this in the past. I've went very quick on certain things. What I'm trying to say is, it might be popular to suddenly really start knocking somebody down or believing certain things about world leaders. But what I believe God is saying is to slow down, bring it to me, and I'll give you clarity on what is going on. So that's what the Lord gave me about 2 weeks ago, is jumping on the bandwagon. And I'm just going to scratch my arms, friends, because I'll tell you something, even though I'm protected, these damn mosquitoes. I caught one the other day on the palm of my right hand, and it was right into a vein. And man, it was sore. I killed that little sucker, but not before it had got me. Man, these things swell up. Anyway, that's enough about the mosquitoes. But friends, just be careful you don't jump on a bandwagon or bandwagons because it sounds good. Take it to the Lord. Okay, until next time, may the Lord bless you, and I'll catch you again. Bye bye for now.